Hello, it's some dust or something. I'm here today to talk about the Kentrosaurus in Path of Titans. The Kentro has got to be one of my favorite dinos to play in this game. Like, no joke, this thing has grown on me so much, especially in recent updates. Despite that, its stats, at least on paper, aren't very impressive. The Kentro, it boasts actually very low bulk. It's got health right around 550, pretty low. And its combat weight is also on the smaller end, falling behind Styraco. So you're not a tanky little guy. And as far as speed goes, you're relatively quick, but the default speed on a Kentro is only a little above 1000, if memory serves. So you're kind of middling in that area as well. So you've got the low health, the low combat weight, only okay speed. Your stamina recovery is okay. Your health recovery is actually really good. But does that redeem this thing? I think it does. And that's mostly going to come down to the Kentrosaurus's kit and stats in this game. I already kind of touched on the stats, but this is legitimately one of the most rambunctious and self-confident dinosaurs you will find in this game. In a lot of ways, the Kentro kind of looks like a prehistoric porcupine with all those quills. But really, I think it's more akin to a honey badger. And that's because if you know anything about honey badgers, it's that honey badgers don't care. They just take what they want. The Kentro's the same way. This is a dino that will run right up to fights. It doesn't run away from fights. A lot of times you see these guys, they are barreling toward you at the speed of light, charging up a tail attack. So I already talked about its bulk. I talked about its kind of middling speed. They don't seem that impressive. But in all honesty, the Kentro is one of the more customizable dinosaurs in this game, and its attacks will make you think twice about messing with it. So let's get into the kit here. If I can even remember how to play. I've been playing so much Ark lately, man. Alright, we're going to come over to abilities. Now, the first big thing is that Kentro does have Lone Survivor. This helps a lot if you're not in a group, or if you want to play with buddies but maybe not join the group. 10% armor increase and increased maneuverability. That is actually huge. 10% armor is pretty nice, and it's free. On the front limb, you also get traction. Increased turning speed by 20%, decreases stamina recovery by 30%. Now, if you remember what I said, the Kentro actually has really good stamina regen anyway, so this isn't that big of a hit. It just sort of equalizes you. When it comes to metabolism, you have herbivore and forager. Nothing too special there. And on hide, you can run either lightweight scales for the increased speed or tough scoots for increased armor. On the back limb, you get long distance runner, reduces running stamina drain by 15%. That is huge, that is very helpful. Now the tail is where this thing really starts to come into its own. You have 4 different choices for your tail slots, and you have 2 slots to work with. There's going to be a lot of people with differing opinions on how you should run the tail on this thing, but I have had the most success in running just a regular tail attack and the death rattle. However, if you really want, you can get the charging tail swing, which it inflicts more bleed depending on how long you charge it up, or balanced if you want that increased turning. In my opinion, the Kentrosaurus already has pretty solid turning. Like, you already get traction. This is really tight, honestly. Like, I don't know if you need that extra turning. Could be nice, maybe. No, if we're gonna get into subspecies for this thing. The subspecies for the Kentrosaurus are balanced, plus defense minus speed, and plus speed minus defense. This is a balanced Kentro simply because I like the way it looks. This is my favorite of the Kentro subspecies if we're just going by looks. However, on deathmatch servers, I have been playing with a speed Kentro, and I love it. This thing, if you really lean into its speed, so like I said, it's already got, right here, hide, lightweight scales, increased speed by 10%. It's already got a decent speed stat, a little above 1000, right around 1000. So you get the 10% from the lightweight, you get the extra from the speed subspecies, and you can be a very speedy little dude. And that's awesome because the Kentro excels at hit and run tactics with that tail. You are not, like I said, you are not a tanky boy at all, but what you are is a maneuverable and very quick little dude. You're very small, your tail's very big, makes it easy to hit the tail, and helps you from getting hit in the head or the body. Like I said, your turning radius is really cool, makes it really easy to cut away really quick and avoid those bigger hits. You can just run circles around things. In Deathmatch, I have soloed with that Lone Survivor buff and a little bit of practice. I've soloed Allos, I've soloed Alios and Dasps and Sukos and even Stegos. Like, you'd be amazed what you can do with this thing. And don't even get me started on like Metries and Megs. Those are child's play for a good Kentro player. So like I said, I like to run the basic tail attack. That's because it's got really decent damage, actually. If I remember right, the basic damage is 50. Very reasonable, actually a very decent damage output, even though your combat weight's a little on the lower side. And that tail rattle that I was talking about, if I go back to my abilities here, Death Rattle. Rattle spikes to increase damage by 40% for 45 seconds. That means you hit that rattle. Now granted, it takes a second to build up and actually activate. So it's on now, and you can just start laying into people. You only have a 1 second cooldown on that tail attack. 50 damage plus bleed. Every time you use it, it's inflicting very reasonable bleed. And now you're doing, what did I say, 40% more damage? That is insane. It is 40%, right? I'm just gonna double check here. 40% on a 50 damage attack with bleed. And you can just rattle these off, dude. You can melt through Allos, you can melt through Alios and Dasps. Really can't. You just have to be careful because you're not a bulky little dude. You do have fantastic health recovery though, so if you do get hit, you use that speed, you use that long ignore what I just said, that long distance runner ability to get far away. You lay down in a bush somewhere, you heal back up, you run back in, you get back in the fight. Awesome little dinosaur for that. I'm not kidding. You get some practice in with this thing, you can be a nightmare, and every herd can benefit from having a Kentrosaurus on their side. Okay, so we talked about the kit, we talked about the stats, some of the matchups. Honestly, this thing, it's speedy, it runs for a long time with that distance runner, already had pretty good stamina regen to begin with, even though you lose a little bit of that with the traction, still not bad. You get around the map quickly, you're not super heavy, so fall damage isn't that big of a deal. Stay away from the water, and all in all, very enjoyable little dinosaur to travel with. With all that said, let's get into the calls and animations, starting with our broadcast call here. Next we have the heart call, the aggro, the alert, a low call, a shake it off, a stretch, I hear a dino coming, a look around, and a scratch. I hear a dino, so I'm a little skeeved out, but we're gonna get into the skins here. You've got default, tropical, marbled, spotted, striped, blue side, gold dust, abyss, mottled, puffer, albino, melanistic, backer, and this one's really cool. This is cobalt. This is the referral skin. If I remember right as well, if you hit a Kentro basically anywhere, I know specifically on the tail on the back end, but basically anywhere in the body, it does like passive bleed because they've got all these spines all around them. So you get a cool like a Margosaurus kind of thing going there where you attack them, they take bleed, they attack you, they take bleed, everybody's bleeding except for you because you're a Kentro and you're awesome. And that really does it for my thoughts on the Kentrosaurus. Highly recommend this thing. This is no joke. And the thing is, things are going to think twice before chasing you, because if they're running you down, this tail is in their face. They do not want to be taking that 50 damage attack with high bleed stack to their face, no matter what they are. So, you know, that gives them a second thought. If you get really good at rushing in and cutting away as you hit with the tail, that works really well. Get some practice in with these guys, and you can be just an absolute menace. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Kentro. Love, love, love this thing. Hopefully you will too. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Hopefully if you haven't grown one of these guys, this will encourage you to do so. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.